North Carolina Congressman Greg Murphy, the man himself. He is the GOP Doctors Caucus co-chairman. Congressman, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. So,
good morning.
Would you have recommended a PSA test sooner? I mean, now we're hearing that he hasn't had the PSA test in a decade.
You know, Maria, there's a bit of a controversy or somewhat, questions about whether PSA screening is right or wrong. I think the jury has still decided that it should be done in any healthy individual with a 10-year, or male rather, with a 10-year life expectancy. And if Joe Biden at 72, 10 years ago was expected to live 10 years, he should have had that test. I think it's incumbent upon his physician to recommend it. I doubt the president refused it because I just don't see any reason to do that. But why he hadn't had one in a decade, when especially all the other presidents have had one, really is a big question.
Well, what do you want to say about this diagnosis and the fact that it's so aggressive?
Well, prostate cancer is graded, and everybody's now become an expert on this, on Gleason scores. This is how we determine the aggressiveness of the cancer. And he has probably, I think, a Gleason 5 + 4 = 9 is what I'm understanding. It's an aggressive cancer. But Maria, it's amazing. In my 30-plus years of urology and dealing with prostate cancer patients, I've seen people present with metastatic disease to the bone and live 15 years. I've seen also other patients die in 3 months. We have wonderful new medications, and honestly, if the IRA had been in place 15 years ago with the pill penalty, we would not have the medications that we have today. So understand he's responded to hormonal treatments, which is a good sign. And so, there are a lot of treatments. Radiation can be done, different chemotherapies, et cetera. So this is not, an impending doom by any means necessarily.
Well, I mean, look, they announced this just a couple of days after the Robert Hur tapes were released, where it was stunningly clear that President Biden had serious mental capacity issues, something that you've raised on this program a number of times. And President Trump put out a post last night questioning who was running the country, saying, look, Biden didn't really want to have wide open borders. He writes, Joe Biden was not for open borders. He never talked about open borders where criminals of all kinds, shapes and sizes can flow into the country at will. It wasn't his idea to open the border and almost destroy our country and cost us hundreds of billions of dollars to get criminals out of the country and go through the process we're going through now. It was the people that knew he was cognitively impaired and that took over the auto pen. They stole the presidency of the United States and put us in great danger. He writes, this is treason at the highest level. They did it to destroy our country. He's calling them treasonous thugs that wanted to destroy our country. So I guess my question to you is, do we know who was running the auto pen? And what do you think about this? I mean, President Trump's basically saying, we're in a bad spot. I'm here now. I'm making changes. I'm fixing some things. But we need to hold the people accountable who allowed mentally insane to come into the country totally unchecked and unvetted and cause crime, rapes, and the rest.
Well, Maria, I agree 100% with that statement. And that's something that I think, those of us who actually, had a brain looking at the data and the facts understood this. Who was running the presidency? Was it Jill? Was it Obama? Was it one of the staff members? Because, even when Speaker Johnson asked the President Biden about the LNG exports and his executive order, he didn't even know he didn't even remember it. So that's going to be a real question. Now I believe the press secretary for Jill Biden has come out and talked that the administration was the most opaque, non-transparent administration ever seen. So, sadly enough, it has destroyed the trust of the American people in the administration. And this whole thing with the prostate cancer diagnosis, when did it occur? Why was it held back? Look, remember General Austin had concealed his prostate cancer diagnosis. Right. So it's bait and switch. It's just it's not the transparency that we're seeing with the present administration.
Yeah, that's a great point. You're right. The defense secretary goes into the hospital, doesn't tell anybody. We have no idea what went on as well. But look, I want to move on to the business at hand. You're on the House Ways and Means Committee and the House Rules Committee, still in their marathon meeting right now as they ready the markup of President Trump's big, beautiful bill. The speaker reportedly reached a tentative deal overnight with blue state Republicans to raise the SALT cap to $40,000. That's up from the current $10,000. And I just spoke with South Carolina Congressman Ralph Norman about the overnight House rules. And what he said was troubling, that you all do not have the votes right now to pass this on the Senate floor, on the House floor. Watch this.
This bill will pass out of Rules Committee. Now, will it pass on the floor is another question.
Let me ask you right now, you know, and we all know that you can only afford 3 no votes. When you say it may not, the question is it going to pass on the floor? Do you think it would be fewer than 3 no votes?
I do not. It'll be over 3.
Over 3. And it's because
No, unless something changes, Maria, it'll be over 3. I mean, you've got, those who are going to be a no anyway, but you've got many more. Again, it's the deficit and it's the math that bother a lot of us, and we're going to get there. Now, will we get there this weekend? If we stay through the weekend, which I'd be glad to do, that would be that'd be great to try to come up to some type of solution on it. But it's heading in the right direction.
Congressman, what can you tell us?
Yeah, no, I believe Ralph is spot on about that. There are people, you have the Masseys and the Victoria Sparks that are going to, there's not enough Jesus in the Bible for those people. So they're immediately off the table. It's other folks who on one extreme, on the moderates, who want more and more salt, which I think, you can't promise people in your district things that you really can't deliver. And you really have to understand that there is balance in doing all of this tax policy, and the salt things cost a lot of money, and you're rewarding bad high taxation states. When you have folks on the other hand that want to get rid of all the energy issues, I heard somebody talking earlier on the program, why don't we slash the energy stuff? Maria, we are coming into an age where all of the above energy approach is needed. We need everything on board with these data centers, with AI going in effect. And so we have to give them runways they're American companies. We have to give them runways to leave. I personally think we have to keep this stuff with nuclear because nuclear is our future. It's the only way we're going to power our future.
Yeah. Well,
so
nuclear,
really bouncing.
I understand nuclear, but what about wind and solar? I mean, should we really have wind and solar subsidies in this bill? What if it's not windy? What if it's not sunny?
Yeah, no, they're phasing them out. They're being phased out. But just for the sake of, decency with the American companies, we need to give them a glide path out. If you stop it today, look, hundreds of thousands of jobs are lost before anything happens.
I see.
They are being phased out. They are being phased out.
Okay. Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
We'll be watching your work. Greg Murphy on Capitol Hill.